Now, there's also a lot of important information that hasn't been reported that I got to talk to you guys about. The 12-day war was really beneficial for the Iranians because what they were able to do was get all their weak points exposed in real time. Right after the ceasefire of the 6-day war, guess where the Iranians went? They went to China and they went to Russia, and they started spending a lot of money. Okay, they upgraded their air defense, and not only did they upgrade their air defense where they're able to detect planes that escape radar, right, like your F-35s and your B-2 bombers and all that other shit. They also got missile defense systems that shoot these types of these aircraft down. Okay, so they got satellite from the Chinese. Chinese spy ships have been mobilizing. Chinese spies have been mobilizing, and they completely redid. They basically pulled out all of Iran's old air defense that was either that was Western based, basically, right? And they upgraded to all Chinese technology. All right. Now the issue here, right? You guys got to understand when it comes to modern warfare like this, right? How you attack is 100% contingent upon your enemy's capabilities, okay? So when the Israelis attacked the Iranians before, they knew what the air defense was like. They knew that they could sabotage it. They had assets in country. So they were able to confidently, right, and safely attack the Iranians, and not one of their jets got shot down in the process. Now, their spies got caught in country, right? That wasn't good, right? And a lot of them got executed and killed. But they were able to pull off Operation Rising Lion relatively easy because they knew what the Iranian capabilities were. All those capabilities that they were able to, all those incapabilities that the Iranians were, that the Israelis were able to exploit, they fixed them. And not only did they fix them and they upgraded with technology that is comparable, if not better, okay? Now, when it comes to modern warfare and the stakes are high and you're talking about people dying and you're talking about sensitive political situations, right? You're talking about a country like that can't sustain long-term casualty, that can't sustain long-term warfare because casualties are a big deal for them, or the United States, where casualties at this point are completely unacceptable after the failed Iraq war. Well, all you have to show is that you have the ability to cause some serious damage. And by buying weapons and technology from the Chinese that is comparable, if not to the same level, even if it's just a level below, is still extremely dangerous for the United States. Why? Because now a mission that would have been 100% success rate is now a 50% success rate. Now we're talking about your $2 billion B-2 bomber potentially getting shot down, or one of them getting shot down. These are losses that the United States simply can't sustain at this point politically, especially Trump, okay? Yep. So this is the situation that the United States and are in, where we had the riots in the beginning of the year. They had an opportunity to strike, but the problem was, okay, we can strike, but are we going to be able to take them out completely? The answer was no. And if the answer is no, that means that they're going to hit you back. If they hit you back, they're going to hit you back really hard, right? Because at this point, if the United States strikes them, Iran knows it's now or never. This is an existential conflict now, okay? So they're going to start hitting oil fields. They're going to bomb Saudi Arabia. They're going to hit the base in the Gulf.
Qatar, yep.
They're going to start shooting bombs into Israel. Hypersonic missiles. Israel's going to have to deal with Tel Aviv getting bombed again, right? So the Iran that they attacked in June is not the same Iran now, because you guys got to understand, right? And this is another thing too when it comes to military campaigns and shit like that. The Iranians saw what and the United States can do. So they're able to collect an enormous amount of information. And what did they do? They refined their defenses to combat our attack strategy. Okay? So now, when we try to use our superior air power, or when the Israelis come in with those jets, the Iranians bought weaponry and tools that literally counter the enemy, that the Chinese all have, by the way. So now Trump has to think twice before doing anything, because the Iranians have fortified their defenses to literally combat American and Israeli fighter jets, naval assets, etc.
And the United States is well aware of that. And I think there was a super chat earlier that asked about Algeria. I believe the United States threatened Algeria with sanctions because they were buying military aircrafts or fighter jets from the Soviets. And the main issue and the main concern of the United States, and this is something that stemmed ever since the Cold War. I said Soviets, Russia, same thing. But this is a fear that always exists since the Cold War, and the inception of the Cold War was Soviet influence in the East. And we're seeing that slowly grow. And so long as we distract ourselves with getting involved in unnecessary and irrelevant foreign wars and intervention in the Middle East, Soviets can sneakily go around the lines and arm these different countries that will pledge allegiance to them, and that'll be able to undermine not only our power but our ability to threaten them militarily. And another thing to keep in mind is we're kind of already at a disadvantage when it comes to our currency. That's why we did what we did in Venezuela, and you broke that down beautifully. A lot of people think that the Venezuela thing was several different reasons, but I find the main reason was because our currency is starting to become insecure, BRIC becoming a threat. Other countries in the East are leveraging Venezuela, and they're not listening to Trump. They weren't listening to Trump from the beginning, and they had warnings actually from the Obama administration to tighten things up. So the intervention in Venezuela was a long time coming. I wasn't surprised that it happened. Everybody's mad from this like whole moral perspective. You got to look at the grand scheme of things. The reason why we did it is because our natural resources, despite I believe we're still the #1 oil producer right now because the Middle East is falling behind, we're falling behind big time in our reserves of natural resources.
And not only that, the oil that we make isn't the oil that our refineries are built around. Our refineries in Louisiana and Texas and shit like that is built for the oil that comes from the Middle East and from Venezuela. Like that's what our entire oil infrastructure was built around. So the reserves that the oil that we manufacture here isn't the oil that our infrastructure is built around refining. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Great point to make there. And another thing that's very important to realize as well, this is another kind of goal of these Middle Eastern factions like the UAE and Saudi Arabia. The reason why they're meddling in these countries in North Africa is because North Africa is abundantly rich in rare earth or precious metals. And that seems to be one of the main commodities that's going to be in demand in the coming years, especially in Sudan. They have a ton of gold, and that's why the UAE has already exploited and capitalized on tons and tons of gold, and their gold reserves jumped significantly. Matter of fact, in 2019, Russia had sanctions put on them by the United States, where they were dealing with sanctions from other countries, and so they looked to Sudan for gold, and Sudan gave them a ton of gold. And
the day they invaded Ukraine, bro, Hemeti was in Russia, bro. He was in Moscow. He was there.
If you enjoy my videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to create clips like these fast, try Opus Clips. It's smart, simple, and built for creators.